On July 4th, 2024, our fireworks in Marblehead, Massachusetts were canceled. This was because the barge that would be carrying the fireworks out in Marblehead Harbor had a fire in the early morning hours of July 4th. In this video, I'm using my drone to get some footage of the barge that had burned that day, and it was still sitting in the harbor, and inspectors came on a boat and went onto the barge to look at it. Luckily, the fireworks were not on the barge at the time of the fire. Despite that, the local officials and organizers did not want to approve the fireworks for July 4th until they could determine why the fire occurred, presumably to prevent it from happening again. It was a huge barge with lots of cylinders on its surface. Presumably those were used to launch the fireworks. You can see that in the footage below. You can also see how large the barge is in these clips when you compare it to the nearby boats and the boat full of investigators that motored up to it. And you can see the investigators walking onto the barge too. Several days later in the news, they announced that the barge fire was an accident and that no foul play was involved. You know, when the news came out, they weren't sure if it was an accident and they thought there might be some foul play. So, you know, it was just really interesting but disappointing news. I had heard from conversations with town folks that the barge was used for fireworks at Swampscott the night before. So perhaps an ember or some hot firework material was still on board, and that may have started the fire. The barge was still floating, and although there was obviously some damage on the surface, I wasn't sure if you could reuse this barge. Hopefully you could. Or, you know, another thing they were talking about was possibly bringing a barge from another town or another company to come in to substitute for this barge. Anyways, they'll keep our fireworks for next year and use them then for what I hope would be an extra long fireworks display. You know, the funds for the fireworks come from donations from families in town, including ours, and possibly from some of the town budget as well. So, you know, it's good that they weren't burned during the fire, and hopefully they can have a great fireworks display next year. For this year, it was really disappointing news for the whole town, but, you know, everyone still tried to have a positive attitude and look at the glass half full and enjoy the holiday weekend. The town's tradition is to host a very busy schedule for the Festival of Arts all week, with events like a champagne brunch, an arts marketplace in Abbott Hall, family events at Lee Mansion where, you know, they do arts and crafts like building a model boat and painting it. There's a kids parade, which we call the Horribles Parade in town. They also had a 5K and a 10K. I ran my first 10K this weekend. There were arts displays all around town with, you know, painted cods and painted whales. Also, there were various music performances. I think there were 16 bands that performed at the bandstand in Crocker Park. We often spent many of the evenings on the July 4th weekend listening to the bands at Crocker Park and watch the fireworks from there. So that's what we did. You know, we attended a lot of the activities. There were a lot of activities to participate in, and we still had a great time and still enjoyed the holidays. So, you know, on the actual 4th in the evening, there was a partial illumination of the harbor. You know, this is where they light some flames on the side of the harbor, but usually it's fully illuminated, and it wasn't the case this year. But some private families launched fireworks during the evening of July 4th, so we still saw some fireworks, and that was pretty cool, and we could still see in the horizon some of the fireworks from the nearby towns. You know, my daughter loves the 4th of July weekend and was really looking forward to it. Despite the fireworks being canceled, she told me that this week was the best July 4th holiday that she's experienced. We met up with friends a lot, had beach time, attended many of the events in town. So the moral of the story is to keep a positive attitude, as always, like she did, and always look at the glass half full. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please click like, comment, or subscribe. That would really help my channel. This is part of my drone video playlist on YouTube. Thanks for watching.